Hello, and welcome to another edition of All or Not According to Jack with your host, Jack Toledano. So, I have two very distinguished guests with me today. Of course, from Norway is my good friend Ove Rendum, a guy who I've known since the beginning of time. And when I started All or Nada, I think we're now 2 or 3 years running, something like
I
that.
believe 3 years, yeah.
And then Steve Buckley, somebody who I met, who came over to watch Pete's channel, Sea of Tranquility, as we were talking about our dream set lists of Jethro Tull. Steve told me about some videos of Jethro Tull that he put together, some music videos, very creative, amazing videos. Uh, I'll probably let you talk about those a little bit later. How you doing, Steve?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks for
And
having me
you're very
again.
welcome. And late congratulations on your Philadelphia Eagles. So
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. You
believe me.
know, it feels legitimate once you have two.
Yeah, I'm sure. Rooting for a team that only won 3 games this year, it was very hard, a bitter pill to swallow. And now they went and they signed a third-rate receiver, $12 million a year, which totally blows my mind. We're talking Saquon Barkley money, but
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
Topic of another day.
My one daughter's boyfriend is a Giants fan, and I have a Giants fan next door. So I've
Okay.
I've heard of you know the dubious times, so to speak.
Yes. Yeah, we've had a lot of them. Anyway, back to Jethro Tull, a topic that we don't have to talk about, competition. So, yes, thank you for doing that. I have not purchased it yet. So, uh, that's, if, could you hold that up again?
Absolutely.
We're talking about the album Curious Ruminant. Uh, but yep, a little higher. Keep going. Yep. All right. Very nice. So, that's Jethro Tull's new release as of this past Friday, March 7th. So I gave it 2 listens, and I don't know if you saw my prior episode. I started a new series where I talk about album of the day, where I listen to an album every day for the entire year. So that was my listen for Friday, March 7th, was Curious Ruminant. And based on that one listen, I gave it a 4 out of 5. So then yesterday I gave it a second listen and I went back. I ranked each song from 1 to 5 stars and I wrote comments for each song. So you, the audience, can guess whether it went up or down. But we'll get to that. But anyway, we're going to start with Ove. Ove, what were your impressions of the album? And by the way, thank you for sending me that link about a month ago or 2 3 weeks ago with the first song. I think you sent me the Tipu House, was it?
Oh, that's I think it's a couple of months or so back, yeah.
So what were your impressions of the album?
Well, we did the review of the previous album too, but I think I like this album better already from the first listen because it's such a great storytelling in the songs, and it's got so much more how should I put it? Not theatrics, but more like moods in it, the moods that describes the story that Ian is trying to tell us.
Okay.
So and it's I don't know, it's just I feel it's more well shaped than the previous album.
Okay. Actually, I kind of thought that as well. So, Steve, what did you think?
Well, I I'm a little. I guess I've listened to it, call it 5 times compared
Oh, okay.
to. Um, Toe always can be something that you need to take your time and absorb it. Um, do you want my ranking now, or just like just a quick?
Just a quick overview, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go song by song.
I think I like it. If you want to call this new old Tull trilogy, which it now is. Those three that came out. I think I definitely like it more than the previous rock flute.
Right.
And I'm not sure if it beats Zeligene yet. I have it ranked in a certain way, just based on the fact that I usually reserve the 4 and above for the classic Tull.
Okay.
But we'll see. I think the first one and the third one are close for me, but this one just might edge it out.
Okay. Very good. So we're kind of doing this a little free form. So first I'm going to give you my overall impression, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go song by song. Steve said that he initially didn't do a song by song ranking, and Ove is going to give me his top 3 songs off the album. So based on my 1 through 5 rankings, you're going to know which my top songs are. So my overall impression, very well produced. I love the bass and all the instruments. I think Ian's voice is captured very well here, better than some of his other albums. I don't think he tries to strain. I think they capture his voice by keeping within the realm of what he's capable of doing now. He didn't try to have a revival of the early 80s or the late 70s with, straining. He can't project like he was able to once upon a time. So
no,
I thought in that regard, I thought the production was very well done. I'm going to criticize Amazon here because I went in to see I went in to look at Amazon.com's comments. When people write in comments after they buy it from Amazon, they're classifying it as metal. I mean, come on. The Grammys did that. We know how that turned out.
Crest of a Knave.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, they did it.
So, okay. So, and like I said, at the time, I gave it 4 out of 5 when I first heard it. So anybody who's friends with me on Facebook may have seen that. But I do have a correction, whether it's up or down. We'll get to that. So we're going to go song by song. We'll talk about each one. So Puppet and the Puppet Master, a 4-minute opener. I think it's a great opener, very classic Tull sounding. I gave it 5 out of 5. What do you guys think? Yeah.
Wow.
I just thought the sound was fantastic. Ove, thoughts?
I like the song too. I think it's a perfect choice for opening for album because it has a building momentum in it, and it kind of has a good pace at the end that kind of gets you going and want to get to, and they're looking forward to the next song.
Right. So the next song, it's the only other song that I gave 5 stars. The title track, Curious Ruminant. Second piano opener, which I love. The flute sounds really as good as ever. Very nice bassy sound. Had a bit of a late 80s sound to it, I thought, like a Crest of a Knave type sound. So those were my 2 5 out of 5 songs. Curious Ruminant and Puppet Master. Thoughts?
Steve, go.
Okay. Great second track. I think all the elements are there. It's something that, as powerful as Puppet was as an opener, continues to draw you in more, which is, I think, one of the jobs of a second track is, to be equally as good, if not better.
Right.
For me, it's a great title track, and I agree with you on the production.
Yeah. Okay, very cool. Okay, now hopefully I'll pronounce this correctly. Dunsinane Hill. I gave that 4.25. Very folksy, very nice. I love the accordion, and it is a slower number. So that's that one.
Okay.
Song number 4, The Tipu House. I gave that 4.5. That was one of the early releases. I believe that was one of the ones that one morning I just woke up and I need my iPhone to sign into my laptop, and I see that Ove had sent me an IM basically about this with a link to this song. Basically, I think it could be from the Heavy Horses era, save for his voice, which again, he can't really match the Heavy Horses era.
No.
So 4.5 on 4.5 on Tipu House. So
Yeah.
far, have we gotten to any of your favorites there, Ove?
Nope, you haven't touched any wine yet.
Oh,
But it's coming.
okay. Interesting. Okay. Savannah of Paddington Green. I just love the sound of that. 4.25 stars. Sounds a bit like a leftover from Thick as a Brick too. There are just some overtones that it sounds like it might have been conceived at that time. So again, very short, 3 minute 13 song, and that's what I gave it, 4.25. So next song, Stygian Hand. I gave that 4.75. Celtic folk and rock. I love it. Ian's voice sounds great here, and it is one of the. It start this for me. The album starts to get a little bit more rocking. Thoughts?
Yeah, I will. My top 3 song, number 3 is Savannah. I like the story. I like the way he described it. It's a good story in that song, which grabbed me because Ian is such a, I don't know, he's not just a singer, he's a storyteller, and I think he tells the story really good.
Okay. Any thoughts, Steve, on this or any of the songs we've talked about so far?
Savannah's a good, solid track. I'm still absorbing it. It's interesting, the use of Paddington. It makes me think of Paddington 1008 from Passion Play.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what I think of right away when I see Paddington in the title.
Right.
It's a good, solid track. Stygian Hand definitely borrows from Thick as a Brick too. Has that very familiar accordion sound, and
right.
the hey, Ian Anderson can plagiarize all he wants his own material.
Right.
But I immediately went to Thick as a Brick too when I heard probably within the first minute.
That isn't the last we're going to be talking about Thick as a Brick 2 or Passion Play.
Yeah.
We'll get to those. So Over Jerusalem, I also gave that a 4.75. For me, this sounds even more like a leftover from Thick as a Brick 2. And a bit more rocking sound. I think the best hard rock guitar can be found in Over Jerusalem. So we have Joe Parrish is the guitar player on this album. We also had Jack Clark, who did some guitars on this album, but don't know who played the solo, but very good sounding. As close as we'll get to Martin Bear. No, for me, nobody can replace him, but on this album, that was as close as we could get.
Is Parrish on this album? I didn't even realize it.
Yeah, yes, Joe. Yeah, this was his first full album. And then
I thought it was mostly Jack Clark, but maybe I misread the initials.
I could be wrong, but
No.
Going by somebody else's review. That's what he said. So I'm taking his word. So okay, so we've now talked about the first 3, 4, 5, 7 songs. So uh, if if you rate the album, and if I took an average of the first songs, that gives me a rating of about 4.65, which is pretty damn good.
Way up there. Yep.
Unfortunately, the last 2 songs for me bring it down. Drink from the Same Well, 16 minutes. If you're expecting Baker Street Muse, I think you were going to be a little disappointed.
That's funny you bring that up.
Yeah, because this song drags it on a little too much. For about the first 7:45, it's like Jethro Tull elevator music. So I'm like, what's the point? And then he finally starts to sing. So unfortunately, it as you said to me privately, Steve, it meanders, and I totally agree.
Yeah.
So Drink from the Same Well, I gave it 3 out of 5. I didn't think it needed to be 16 minutes long. They could have shortened it to about maybe 8 or 9 minutes, and not have such a long opening. Whereas it's almost like Passion Play, where Passion Play, the album starts to get going for me around the 5 or 10 minute mark, where he starts with that acoustic up tune. Da 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 da. Yeah, I forget what that's called, but that's, and then he goes do 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 do. So it's kind of there for me.
Ove?
Yeah, for me, that's the highlight of the whole album. For me,
Okay.
Drink from the Same Well is my number one.
Yeah, no, it's funny. Yeah, Ove and we always take opposite ends of the spectrum. It's kind of like Judas Priest point of entry for us.
That's the amazing thing about being a Jethro Tull fan.
Right.
You're going to have different favorites. Things that you liked early on in an album, all of a sudden you got tired fast, and then things that you ignored all of a sudden become your standbys.
Right.
There's so many songs and so much music, and not everybody likes the same thing. Some people hate Bungle and Jungle, and some people still love it to this day.
I like it, but it's played out.
Yeah,
played to death on FM radio.
This song, I'm going to have to come down on the wrong side. For me, you mentioned Baker Street Muse. Back in 1977, when I was a growing Tull fan, I would say that started 75, 76, but I didn't have the all albums. I had probably the 2 greatest hit ones at the time. I definitely had, I had MU and I had Repeat Volume 2. And Volume 2 had a very shortcut, abbreviated Minstrel in the Gallery. And
yes.
I'm like, damn it, I got to get this album. But my local record stores, for some reason, always missed the cut. 77, the album had been out for 2 years, but where the heck is it? Mm-hmm. And then one day in either a Sam Goody or a We 3, which were the corporate stores at the time, at least in my area, I found it and I brought it home. And to me, it's still so memorable. Yeah. Just listen to the extended minstrel with that bridge in the middle of that just amazing Bar and Barlow.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe how in the edit, the whole idea, the whole concept of that song wasn't there in the radio edit.
Right.
And it just, it continued, Cold Wind of Valhalla and Black Satin Dancer. Then you had the 2, I believe Requiem and
One Night Duck.
yeah, One White Duck, Nothing at All, and and I thought they were beautiful songs. But I got the impression after listening to that killer track, Minstrel, that killer title track, that Baker Street Muse took time for me. It took time for it to mature and grow on me. I love it to death these days, but it took time. And my overall, if I was doing a one listen review at the time, I would have said that album started off as a 10 and it just petered out.
Right.
For me, I thought it was just too mellow of an ending. The fact that you had side 2 with the acoustic and then a basically acoustic epic.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do I feel that the Drink from the Same Well has a shot? I'll never say never, but for me, this is no Baker Street Muse.
No, it is.
There's no electric guitar on it. There could have been some things done like different time signatures. Andy Giddings does not really come through for me. You could have told me that it was John O'Hara.
Mm-hmm.
And I really don't see anything that, with Andy Giddings initials on it. It just, for me, it just, there are parts of like Roots to Branches with the bamboo flute. I mean, Ian's flute playing has never been better. It's continued to improve every decade.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean,
especially prominent on the first 7 songs.
But for me, the track just leaves me cold.
Yeah.
And that's after 5 listens.
Right.
But I don't know if it can get significantly better for me. And that certainly did bring down my overall rating.
Right. So Ove, what did you think of since it was one of your favorites? What do you like about it?
It's my favorite track on the album. I listened to the album. I was laying in bed and I was like, I always listen to the new albums, like in the dark to just zone out everything else but the sound. And for me, the song is such a journey. It's like he's taking you on a journey and talks about the whole concept of the song and like the way he tells it. It's just, for me, it's captivating. I know he probably says the title a couple of times.
What is he telling you in the first 8 minutes? This is what I'd like to know.
No, that's more like the mood setting for me. It's more like
right
setting the landscape, if you like.
Okay.
And then he just tells the story afterwards, and it's just, for me, I really liked it. It was, for me, was the highlight. So, but I like on the raps too, which not many people do. I like the Cold War album.
Okay, so that leaves us to the last song, Interim Sleep. Spoken word, not really digging it. I Want Music, not really a poem. I thought, again, it was a weak ending. So, again, I gave it 3 out of 5. So, so if you calculate my all 9 ratings, that brings me up from a 4 to a 4.25, 4 1/4.
Well, that's a very, very good score.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first 7 songs are killer. They're really good, especially the first 2, and then Stygian Hand and Over Jerusalem, really good. So.
Or Over Jerusalem is my number 2.
Oh, okay, good, sweet. So we agree on that one. And you said Savannah of Paddington Green was your 3rd?
Yeah, I really liked it. It was such an atmosphere. It has such a, I don't know, a lively kind of vibe to it. It really was like, caught my ear.
I like songs like that are short, that are easy to digest, but they make a statement, and they come out that way. So that's very cool. Any other thoughts on Curious Ruminant?
I mean, as far as the last track goes, oh wow, I just pressed the beginning of the track. interim sleep. I mean, I don't mind it. I've seen albums end with that kind of mellow, reminiscent kind of a feel. I don't mind it, but you know, what they're calling the 16 or 17-minute epic, as of right now, this date, it doesn't do it for me. And that's really the if you would have added something in, the similar melody that was happening with the flute that was then transitioned and contrasted by electric guitar, I just think it would have been a better track and probably shorter. But again, that's why we're all Tull fans.
Yeah.
We're all entitled. We've been in for the long haul with this band, and we're all entitled to our opinion.
Yep. I mean, you know what? And there's no escaping this thought that, you know what? We should all be thanking our lucky stars that Ian and company, they're still making albums, whereas other bands like The Doors, for example, The Who, other bands, they can't, Led Zeppelin, they're never going to make an original album ever again. So we got to take what we can get. Now they're calling them legacy bands, but for me, I had an auspicious occasion last week where Judas Priest made a new album. Mm-hmm. Iron Maiden's still making new albums, and now Jethro Tull. So I have to be thankful, for whatever they give me, and you know what? The better it is, the more I'm going to enjoy it. So
when I made the Tull Phenomenon, the movie,
right.
In the credits, I actually put, I believe, 1968 to 2011 ? Just leaving that door open.
Right.
That
you're that guy. Jacko talked about you a lot then.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Steve is that guy.
Yeah, I'm that guy. I left it as a question mark because you never know. I mean, that was a decade before anything like that, was. There was a decade that. Well, no, the movie was made between 2019 to 21, and it came out in October of 21. But when I did that, I was like, all right, Martin left the band, etc. Question mark. Will there be a Jethro Tull again? Right. And I probably made the credits fairly early, so it was probably 2019 when I had that thought about 2011. I won't make it final. I'll put a question mark on it. And sure enough, I never expected a trilogy. Still left in Ian's tank, so to speak. But there is a certain appreciation for having someone that's 77 years old and still writing original music.
Yeah.
That's just phenomenal.
And who knows, the way they harnessed his voice, maybe there might be room for another. Who knows? We'll see.
Well, I mean, there's as far as his voice go, I mean, we all know what happened. It's not worth rehashing what happens to his voice, how it was damaged and then aged on top of everything else. But me, who does a lot of remixes, and I've experimented with 5.1 tracks where you can really separate things out. And I've heard, like, Heavy Horse is a good example because he had a cold during some of the sessions, so he was trying to mask the gruffness, the fact that he has sinus infection, et cetera, et cetera. So I listened to it, and like on one track, on one side, left side, maybe it's a higher Ian voice, and on the other, on the right, maybe it's a lower octave Ian voice, and it's put together to give it more depth. And this is somebody that, I mean, he was pretty much at his peak then. He was just trying to cover up for a cold. But, if they would have used a little more of this, I give them credit in production that I think they went further with the vocals than they had on some previous efforts.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, anything's possible with AI today. With AI, would IA actually take a 78 1982 version of his voice and mix it with today's voice?
I hope not. I really hope not.
But just some of the things that are possible.
I mean, that's not to say that others aren't doing that, and we don't know it, but hopefully not.
But
as for the last track on this album, I feel like, because after my favorite song, the last song is kind of short, so it's like I kind of feel cheated at the end, because it's like it cuts off so abruptly. I'm expecting more, so then I have to start the album over again to just get back into it. So I don't know if there's a purpose behind it, or if it's built, or if Ian has built the album in a way that you just want to listen to it again, or what's
my
what's
thoughts on that is that a song like that keeps the album from being a perfect album. So I've seen other people do episodes on perfect albums and Desert Island Discs. So one such album for me is Who's Next by The Who. So there is not a wasted minute or track on that entire album. And every time I listen to an album, that's what I'm praying for. And you know what? This wasn't it. Still a very good album, but you know what? There's still that couple minutes of fluff that, you know what, you could have used more wisely, I think. So
yeah, I mean, we know definitely that, Ian is the director, the producer, and he's basically, he's choreographing the other musicians. I don't really think, in the past, at least with the Bars and the Barlows and the Evans of the world, back in those days, those guys fought for their little pieces,
yeah,
of the album, and Ian is he just dictates it all now. Where he would have to, in those days, give people their space, like Evans' dominance on Thick as a Brick.
Right. Yeah.
And, well, Barr, when did he not dominate when the speakers were turned on? I mean, when the amps were turned on.
I mean, it's very fair to say that without him, I don't think Jethro Tull would be as prominent as they were back in the day.
No, I'll be seeing him in April, the acoustic set. I always, buddy of mine always wants to go, and
Nice.
We're going to the Sellersville Theater.
Okay.
I believe it's the 8th of April.
Enjoy.
For a Martin Barr acoustic.
Oh, Martin Barr. Okay. Very nice. Should be good. All right.
Something about Martin, he always brings that energy. You could say that some of the more recent live Tull, it lacks some of the energy from the old days, but Martin, he still has it.
Well,
I wish they were both together. I just wish they were both together still.
I might have to try and go see Martin, but we'll see. So, Ove, what have you been up to lately?
Working out and watching movies, and probably pretty much the same thing, and listening to music and ordering new albums, and
Okay.
waiting for it to become more light outside and spring and so forth.
Have you been doing any recordings on Steve Keeler's Rock Fantasy?
A few weeks back, we did an episode on a topic, but it's been a week that we haven't done anything, and because of factors we can't really do anything with, because there's been things happening to panel members, and Steve been busy with stuff, but we're still cooking. So
okay, all right. So Steve, if you could just enlighten the audience, some people might not have seen you on prior episodes, so tell the people about what you've done and some of those videos, if you could.
Well, I just get it's kind of like you wait for inspiration. I have one coming out actually that the song's already been mentioned. I went through some things the middle of last year. I had to settle my mom's estate.
Okay.
So for me, my creativity, so to speak, was put on hold.
Okay.
And I haven't put anything out. I have like 4 videos in the can, but they're from previous attempts, and I'm just holding back because there's no law or rule that say I have to put one out once a month.
Yeah.
I just so I've been holding them back. I have some
What about some of the past highlights that you've done? Tell us about those.
Well, the one I have coming out will be Baker Street Muse.
Nice.
It's done. It's been in the can. The audio is a remix, and some of the visuals I every once in a while I watch. It's been done for quite a while now, probably 7, 8, 9 months ago. But I watch it every once in a while, and just to see if my opinion of it changed, if I like it better or I don't like it as much. And there's a certain dedication on it that, one of the people here I dedicated it to. We did a dream set list, and you really surprised me that you put Baker Street Muse in your dream set list.
Yep.
And I say, just for that, I'm going to dedicate it to you.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's very cool.
Not to tease you with it or anything, because it's not going to come out tomorrow, but
that's fine.
It might come up closer to the anniversary of Minstrel, which is closer to September. It may come out in July or August. But that's a highlight. Some of the ones that I really like, I go through here very quickly. I did Nobody's Car, based on the fact of adding a real snare to it, because everybody was all about replace the drum, so I tried it, and I actually used the sample I used for that was actually the snare from No Lullaby Studio.
Nice. Wow.
But it all mixes in. Does it sound better? I think it does, but it wasn't the overwhelming difference that I might have expected when I started it. Beethoven's Fifth, Queen and Country, Passion Play Side 2.
Yes.
I really enjoyed doing the visuals on that. The Clasp. Basically, if you're on YouTube and you just put Tull SB Mix, just usually that will get you to my channel.
Okay.
There's quite a few. There's 50 some videos I think on there now. Give it a shot. I try to have a different perspective in that regard. Do something different. It's not just, I just don't rehash the audio. I've done something to it in some way, which was my whole reason for starting to do it, just to, maybe more of a live feel, maybe a heavier guitar. Certainly, every time I saw Tull in the old days, that voice was right out front. So I try to push that. I push the flute and I push the voice a little bit more than some of the studio albums do.
Okay.
Did Ove have a rating for the album? I was wondering.
Yeah. Good question. I was going to get to that.
I will put it on 4.8 out of 5.
For which one is it? 4.8 or 4.5?
4.8 out of 5.
Oh, okay. Wow. That's a
Yeah,
very
I
good
really
rating.
liked it. I really liked the story. I really liked
Okay.
how it is just a delight to listen to the whole album. So for me, that's what
Okay.
music is about.
So for me, it was 4.25. And you, Steve?
Hold that thought.
All right. What are we getting? Ah, there you
Aye, aye.
go. Nice. Where'd you get that?
How to do it? Well, I mean, I think you asked me over the weekend to do this, and I just, like everybody does, you go on Amazon. I'm like, oh, what the hell? It'll get here in
Nice.
2 days, and here it is. Well, will I ever use it again?
Wow.
I'll put it on the shelf next to the the new album.
I don't have that, but I can do this for you. There you go.
But well, overall, I mean, I'm going to be the bad guy. As I said, I reserve the fours a lot for the classic Tull. If I were to rate Thick as a Brick 2, I would rate it a 4. So being a drummer, I always look at the drums with more of a microscope than I guess most people do. If you're a guitarist, you probably look at the guitar solos, a little more carefully. So being a drummer, the one thing that's bothered me ever since I guess Don Perry left, Scott Hamlin's a great drummer.
Right.
He's a jazz drummer. And his particular style, I thought he did an amazing job on Thick as a Brick 2. But the one thing that I noticed, and it's something that had become a Tull staple, is the fact that there's in anything since I guess Don recorded something, there's been no double bass.
Wow.
Double bass has, over the years with Barrymore Barlow, with Clive, with Mark Cranny, and Don, it just became a staple. And another thing that I would have liked to see added in, perhaps, James Duncan would have brought it back, but, chose not to, the China type. So the China type cymbal and the double bass, I would like that element brought in, but I wasn't consulted on my opinion. But, as a drummer, like I said, I microscope that a little bit more.
So what was your rating?
My rating, what brought it down for me was Ove's favorite. I just couldn't, in the 5 listens, I just, one of the things that didn't help, the first time I listened to it, I picked my wife up from the airport. So I was listening to it digitally, actually on Amazon. And because I hadn't received it yet, but I could have access to it digitally. So the order was all screwed up. Drink from the Well was the second song. And I was like, that can't be the second song. It can't be. And of course it wasn't. I had forgotten the order when I originally looked it up, months before. Anyway, long story short, my overall rating out of 5 is a 3.9.
Okay. 3.9. So you and I are somewhat close. 3.9, 4.25, Ove 4.8. So
that's an incredible rating.
I'm very happy that you really like it, Ove. I
was good. I see
deluxe
since
edition.
he's a drummer guy. My favorite album has Gary on drums,
Jerry,
and it's the first album with him. That's my favorite.
Broadsword.
Yeah. So what's your thoughts on him?
I rate him a notch below Barrymore and Mark Craney. I mean, Don Perry live was much more of a spectacle. showing his true skills. I don't know if some of those skills came through completely. It did in parts on like Roots to Branches. I just rate him a notch under, like a Barrymore Barlow. Is it the drummer fitting the style of the music? Because the music on Broadsword was obviously less complex than so to speak. Barrymore was just renowned for just overplaying. I mean, I would love to just pick up a new Tull album and just dissect the stuff he was doing. Because to me, as a young drummer, he was amazing. Now, Ian has said, kind of off the cuff that, yeah, Barry liked to overplay a little bit. And it's probably true.
Well, I was fortunate enough that when I saw him in '79, I got to see a Barrymore Barlow drum solo. So
it's just I mean, my top three drummers are Barrymore, John Bonham, Phil Collins.
Phil Collins, eh? Oh.
I can't do any better than that.
Wow, that's a discussion for another day, but I'll have to ask you about that.
Yeah, that would be fun. That would be a fun episode.
Yeah, but I just saw the has anybody seen the Becoming Led Zeppelin movie?
Yes.
What'd you think?
Oh, I loved it. I was like, now let's do part two.
Yeah.
Let's do the whole. I mean, you could probably sit there and go from like Zeppelin 3 to the end, or you could do the middle of Zeppelin, right, and then you could do the end, focus more on some of the tragedy that went on.
Right.
So I feel you could have a part two or a part two and a part three.
But
to really round up.
I went back and I watched Song Remains the Same, so that helped somewhat. But
yeah, that was a movie. It's amazing that a year later, like, they reshot that.
Yeah,
because they weren't completely happy with some of the visuals.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, there's certain things where John Paul Jones, who had cut his hair, he had to wear a wig.
Yeah. Yep.
There were certain issues, I think, with Robert Plant, with his teeth, that he got his teeth fixed.
That's
so you could, on certain things, you could see that, his teeth were perfect, and then they weren't.
Well, it's been rumored for many years that they touch up live albums, but never was discussed touching up live movie documentaries.
Mm-hmm.
But looks like that's now a thing too.
Yeah, I mean, that's a wonderful picture. But I would rate I'll go with Ovi's rating for that Led Zeppelin. I'd go a 4.8 out of 5.
Oh, okay. I gave it
I did an episode on Rock Fantasy with the drummer and the vocalist for the tribute band for a Zeppelin called Kashmir.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, because we did a discussion about physical graffiti.
Oh, my favorite album.
Nice.
My favorite is Presence, so I hope that.
No, that's very close. You're right. You are.
So that will be a part. I hope they do a part 3. Because also for me, I don't know, I've listened to a lot of bootlegs, and I really like 77, the year 77. I know it's not perhaps the most stable year of the band, but the setlist wise in 77, because it's kind of like after Physical Graffiti, there was a lot of things happening. So in 77, you get like a really good list. I don't know all the like.
Yeah, that's where they started out with Song Remains the Same, I believe, that tour. I think.
Right.
I wish that they would give out a professional, official release of live at the what's the name of the Earl's Grey Court?
1975.
Yeah, I like that one better than I like Songs Remains the Same. But I also like 77 even more because they have such a good set list on 77.
I thought there was a concert, some concert video out there from Earl's Grey Court.
Yeah, the whole ones are on YouTube, so it's no problem to find them. It's just I would like them properly mixed put in on a disc so you get it official released.
Right.
Because
yeah, they're probably, I mean, my number one, and I would have to say it might be a tie between Zeppelin 1 and Presence. For some reason, Presence really, it's just, Bonham is at an all-time high. And all of the guitar treatments that Jimmy Page put, the Achilles' Last Stand. I mean, that's just that's a phenomenal period for them. And the whole reason why they made Presence is because Robert Plant was in a car accident, and he actually sung that in a cast.
Yeah,
we can't tour, so we're going to do an album.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. And they whip out that? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah, he recorded all the vocals in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Or mostly.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why, I mean, a lot had changed, with the band, but that's why In Through the Outdoor was such a disappointment when that came out.
Yeah.
So I was expecting something that might have been a trilogy of following up on Physical, Presence. For me, it was, disappointing.
Almost seems like we have to have a part 2 of this episode to talk about Zeppelin.
Yeah, but In Through the Outdoor, I mean, the problem there is like Bonham, he's drinking, and then you got Page's heroin problem, and it's like they weren't in the studio at the same time. It's a very, I guess, it's not like they aren't a unit anymore, and it comes out.
And John Paul Jones had to take over.
Yeah.
There's more keyboard probably than any other album on there.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, we could probably go another hour with this discussion.
Yeah.
Kind of have to cut it off because it's about 20 after 9 here. So that means it's probably 2 a.m. in Norway. What do you got?
Yeah. 2:18.
Oh my God. I'd be dying right now, Ove. I don't know how you do it. So thank you so much for being here. And Steve, thank you so much for joining.
Yep.
This was a great discussion on a momentous occasion, which is the new Jethro Tull album. So if you haven't heard it, check it out. Go buy it. I haven't bought my copy yet, but I plan to do so. So this is Jack Toledano speaking for All or Not According to Jack. Stay tuned for some more great content. And for Steve and Ove, have a good night all.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.